And I know everybody's saying, but we don't go to the polls. That's still your choice. No, that's not what we're hoping.
Order in the chambers.
Everybody in here has a choice to go to the polls or not. Everybody. If you're eligible to vote, you can go to the polls and vote. Now, whether it's an off season, in season, whatever. If it's an issue that concerns you, go to the polls and let your voice be heard. That's all this administration is asking. Now, will there be some additional meetings? Because I believe we have over 60, well over 60 plus people in this city. We know this room is not even close to that amount. Choice. Between now and depending, if we put it on the ballot between today and the 27th of February, you have pretty close to 80 days to discuss it, talk about it, meet about it, plan on it, share your opinion about it, have town halls meetings concerning it, but you still get a choice. We could, and there's some people even in the community right now that as you sit here and say, we don't want it, they're saying, we okay with it. Choice. Your choice is your vote at the polls. Make it speak to what you want and not what 3 or 4 people in this room say you want. It's a choice. And as I keep saying, and I will certainly speak at the polls on my choice, but my choice here today is to give you your choice. That's all. He's asking, can we put this to the ballot, to the people to say,
Order in
vote
the
for it.
chambers.
Now, having heard what you have said for the last almost 2 years, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, speak for us when it's convenient, but don't speak for us when we get upset. He's saying, and I'm going to say with him, you have a choice. Go to the polls and vote. That's your choice. You can say,
Order in the chambers.
You can say whatever you want at the polls on the 27th. If you don't like it, don't like it. If you like it, vote for it. Again, it's your choice. Thank you.
Councilman Rutherford, then Councilman Nicholson.
I hear a lot of back and forth about choices and all that, but when we don't have the information and have enough time to review it, it makes me uncomfortable. When you have a large amount of my district calling saying this is not right, it makes me uncomfortable. So I hear choices, I hear going to the ballot box, but if a majority rule says that they don't feel comfortable with the amount of millage, how much it's gonna cost, the timeline, I can't feel comfortable and confident in voting for this. I can't, because at the end of the day, it will affect so many other people. And my hesitation is there was not enough information given out. My hesitation is it wasn't rolled out correctly. My hesitation is that in Royal Oak, you had the Pacers scoring where they showed each line what was the actual damage to the streets. And I have it. I just couldn't go get it in the back room, whereas the one that you guys presented to us just has the numbers. So I don't feel comfortable with this. I can't vote for something I don't feel comfortable. And especially because in my district, this is going to affect them more than any other district. Because if you look at the streets that are in repairs, it's 3, 1, and 7. And my district is hesitant about this because we haven't given out enough information. We haven't explained to them what's the purpose of it. And most importantly, people, and I, for one, who in another week will be a homeowner, I can't afford $200 a year. I simply can't do this. And it's not because I don't want the roads fixed. It's not because I don't want to help anybody. It's because it is not rolled out correctly. So I, for one, as much as I support fixing the roads, this ain't it. So I'll be voting no. So that's it.
Councilman Nicholson. Order in the chambers.
So, yeah, I share some of that sentiment as well. It's about choice, but we have to tell people what they're choosing. And for me, the $114 million from the memo we got from engineering, that gives us some information about where some streets were within each one of those categories. I can tell you, I don't know, I'm not an engineer. But I'm on these streets, and some of these have already been repaired. So I don't know, if we're waiting for the information from the new engineering study, I don't know that I can say if this information, what was used to come up with $114 million, I don't think that number just, we're the education piece. If I'm gonna sit in my district meeting and they're gonna say, Brett, should I vote for this and where's that money? What am I paying for? I think that I should be able to be equipped with that information. I heard what the gentleman from Lark Canfield said. And you know, a lot of times I think a lot of things that we end up doing and many governments end up doing are backward. But I don't believe that education comes after opportunity. I think we educate and then people decide what their opportunity is and whether or not they decide they want to go for it. I totally understand the time constraint. I understand that there's a lot that has to go into this. I just also think that we're discussing the fact that in the language for the ballot proposal, the bond proposal, it does talk about the DPW facility. So of that $114 million, how much do we intend that will carve out? If that's my one question I'd like an answer to.
Would a member of the administration like to answer that DPW facility cost component? Mayor
Yeah,
Bremmel?
$10 million roughly is the answer. And as we talked about at Tuesday's meeting, that's a function of the fact that Pontiac, unfortunately, is in a position unlike any other city in Oakland County I know of, which is we don't own our own DPW facility. And that's because emergency managers sold the DPW facility for a song, and the city's been put in a position to have to rent a facility. And so we need to own a DPW facility that's suitable for our road repairs. And that's not cheap. We believe that there is a opportunity to purchase an existing facility that would meet the needs for $10 million. If we were to actually build a new facility on vacant land, it would cost, it's estimated, much more than $10 million. $10 million is less than 10% of the total bond proceeds we're suggesting. We know that asking voters to vote for a bond that in part is to facilitate a facility isn't always easy, but it is essential if we're going to have our own DPW facility, and having our own DPW facility is essential both to save money in the long run that we're currently flushing down the toilet in the form of rent payments, but also to have a more efficient facility so that we can properly and more promptly salt the roads and maintain the roads.
Deputy Mayor Stevens.
Thank you, Council President. I also just want to address the concern about looking at the list. One of the things that I had put in my email to council earlier today is that, and we do have our engineer here and she can speak to it more succinctly. We shorthand PACER ratings and say XYZ street has a PACER rating of 5 or 4 or 3. But that is not how the engineers do the PACER ratings. The engineers do the PACER ratings by segments. So the street between the east-west street between these two north-south streets has a PACER rating of something. And then between these other two north-south streets, it has another PACER rating. That PACER rating may be the same. That PACER rating may be different. I actually pointed that out to you in the memo that I gave you just before council started, Fittis Avenue. And there is a map, a color-coded map on the back. If you look at Fittis actually has segments that are in all 3 categories. Part of Fittis is rated between 1 and 4 and is poor. Part of Fittis is rated between 5 and 7 and is fair. And another part of Fittis is rated between 8 and 10 and is therefore good. So the shorthand in this was just to say there is some segment of that street that is either rated 1 or 2. The full email that you got earlier today has all of the segments on it, and you can see the rating of each segment of the street.
Yeah, I also want to note that the PACER ratings aren't officially sort of updated until after roads are improved. But more importantly than that, the proposal that we've presented would bring 60% of the roads in the city to good and fair. So the limiting factor in the proposal we put forward was not the number of roads in poor condition. It was what we thought would be reasonable, what we thought could actually be done in construction without tying up all the roads in the community. So we understand that there are a couple of roads that were just finished this year that have not yet had their PACER ratings updated. But the point is that if we're going to get to a majority of our roads in our city in good or fair condition, the 4 mills is needed in order to do that.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rutherford.
Okay, so I thank you, President Pontiac, for giving the paper I was referring to. So in Royal Oak, they have the PACER system just like we did from 1 to 10. And what they did is they did their descriptions, as you stated, excellent, very good, good, fair, and poor. But the difference is with their rating versus what you guys gave us is that they have the TAMIC description, which means good, fair, and poor, the asphalt pavement, and the concrete pavement. So they did a full spectrum of them, which gave the voters the information that they needed as to why it needed to pass. The problem is the list that we have here, like we have Telegraph on here, that's not a city street, correct?
No.
No, it's on here.
May I answer the question?
Okay, go ahead.
So Councilwoman
I'm
Rutherford, you have
sorry.
the floor.
To President McGinnis, to the administration, Telegraph is not a city street, correct?
Telegraph is not a city street, but every street in the city will receive a PACER rating regardless if
Well,
it's county or.
Actually, Telegraph south of Cesar Chavez is not a city road. North of Cesar Chavez, it is a city road. That's why it's on this list, is that Telegraph between Cesar Chavez and Walton was updated this year and repaired. But north of Cesar Chavez, Telegraph is a city road. That's why it's on this list.
Okay, and so my follow-up through the president is we don't have a street name unknown, but this is on here and it says unknown. So again, it's not that I'm picking, I'm just showing you how you have to have all the information. You have to explain it step by step so that everybody sees it, why it needs to be done. It's the rollout for me. We're not giving enough information. And I get that we could do it, but we do through the president. Can't we put this on another ballot at another time in another place?
So Councilwoman Rutherford asks, in terms of other elections, the state of Michigan spells out how many times a year an election can happen in any community in the state of Michigan. And unless something has changed, traditionally it's 4 times a year. It could be February, May, August, or November. If you do it and there's nothing else on the ballot, the city picks up the whole price, the whole tab. And so that's why it would not be ideal to hold an election in May, because that means the taxpayers are paying for it solo to ask this or other questions. There's an existing election around the pike in February. That's the presidential primary, where the 2 major parties are going to decide who's their nominees for president. So there's costs already being shared, if you will, by entities higher than the city. Same with August and November. There's already a primary and a general election in this calendar year. So there are, as of this current sitting, other entities like the county could, make another election for something else. But right now, the scheduled elections for this year are November, August, and February. Those are what's currently on the books right now. What the mayor shared at Tuesday's meeting is that if not decided at the February election, that it would be another year that would have to go around based on when the money can be issued. And I'll let you or the professionals explain that. So there must be some timeline in which each year it can be sort of assessed, so to speak, or authorized. So break that down for the people.
Well, I'll allow Ron to speak in greater detail to it, but the bottom line is we can't issue a bond unless and until the voters approve it. And so obviously that delays everything quite substantially, and we would lose at least 1 construction season. The longer this is postponed, the worse and worse and worse the roads get and the more expensive it becomes. But Ron, why don't you speak in greater detail?
Certainly, yeah. I do think that the point about losing a construction season just from a programmatic, perspective is very important to keep in mind. The way this works is that you do a July levy, so you cannot levy anything if the bonds have not been issued. So I think the concept would be that if the voters approve in February, then we would move to do the first issuance, at least by the time that the July 1 tax bills go out. So I think that explains the rationale. Obviously, if we do it in August, that delays collection of the tax levy at least. But, we would have to just delay that for a later issuance.
The speakers list is exhausted at this point, so what I want to do is gauge where the council would like to take the matter further. What we have before us right now is a resolution that would have the 4 mills be what's authorized to go, that proposal go on the February 27th ballot. It was moved and seconded, so that's what's before us. But based on the deliberations, is there council members who, what I'll do is I'll go through person by person. Do you wish to see any road proposal be put to the people in February? And that'll be the first round, because if there's not even an interest on putting any road proposal, then that's that. But if it's, you want to see a road proposal, but you want it to be a smaller amount, which I've heard at least one council person say, then that'll be the next round. That if there wants to be a February roads question, what would be the amount or the mills that you want to see put to the people? So, Councilman Rutherford, do you wish to see a February ballot proposal? No. Councilman Nicholson?
Yes, but I don't, I want some greater detail and more options.
Okay. Councilman Goodman, for February?
Can I say pass for the time being while I think?
Sure. Councilman Parker?
Yes.
Councilwoman James, microphone.
I do not support the current proposal.
But you are open
I'm
to
okay with them, with attempting to pull this together for February, but I don't support the current proposal, no.
Okay. Pro Tem Carrington?
No.
No to February straight up? Okay. Councilman Goodman?
I'm open to February, would prefer a later date, and also would prefer that there might be some things that get changed inside of the millage.
Okay. I think that no one can deny that the roads are a priority. The deteriorating streets in our neighborhoods, it's something that we've heard loud and clear from our neighbors and we experience firsthand. So I acknowledge and appreciate the initiative of trying to give options, trying to come up with a solution. Right now, the status quo won't work. If we do nothing different year after year, it's just going to get worse and worse, and all we'll be doing is spreading pennies over hundreds and hundreds of miles. It ain't going to work. So I recognize that the current status quo is not a solution. I do not think that the $114 million is the right price tag. I am open to a February question, but I am not supportive of that high of a price tag. So if I'm doing a quick back-of-the-napkin math, that's one council member that wishes to proceed with February and is comfortable with the current rate. There are two council members that are okay with February but want a lower rate. 2 council members that have said no to February, period. Councilman Nicholson, should I categorize you as open to February but wanting more specificity? And you are open to February but would prefer a later date, but you want more specificity and potential changes? Correct. Okay. So with that, on Tuesday's meeting, I had asked the administration, it was indicated that it wouldn't be ready to be done that evening, if there was an alternative resolution for a smaller amount. So let's say something in the neighborhood of 2 mills. Is that a resolution that is now available? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah. So, Council President, the attorney does have a resolution for 2 mills and a resolution for 3 mills.
Okay. So for 2 mills, that could be distributed to council members right now, but it was moved and seconded by which council members, Clerk Doyle?
It was moved by Goodman and second by Parker.
Okay. So moved by Goodman, seconded by Parker. We could either vote this down, or we could amend to substitute it so that way what we're debating is the 2 mills resolution, and then say if there's even any interest in that. So since we have this before us, is the 2 mills resolution been shared?
No. I can share the numbers with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, point of order has been called. Councilman Parker.
We were called here today to vote on a road proposal as it existed to the packet that we got Tuesday. That was what we was called here to do. Are we now changing it?
Only if council members wish to amend the meat of it, the content of it. But if there's no appetite, then.
And so, again, I speak to the fact that although he may have the information, whatever's going to be passed out, I haven't seen. Yeah. And so I would like to review that before I make a decision on whether I'm going to vote on it or not.
Yeah. So, you have
So
point received.
Excuse me, I think I still have the mic, right?
Sure.
When we left Tuesday, it was to come and vote on the proposal that was submitted at the Tuesday council meeting. That was it. That was all. Now we're selecting changes which the council has not seen or reviewed, which was the reason why we're here today anyway, because the council said Tuesday they hadn't seen it or reviewed it properly. When are we going to stop doing that?
Order in the chamber.
Either vote on what we came to do, give it to the people, or don't give it to the people. Either way, we will have done what we came to do this evening. Thank you very much.
Councilman Rutherford.
I'm calling for the vote for the original thing that we were here to do, and so I call for the vote.
It's been moved by Councilman Rutherford to call the question, and what that means is that it stops debate, and then you go to vote on the matter before you. So that is the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Nicholson. Moved by Rutherford, second by Nicholson, that we end debate and vote on the motion before us. Hearing no clarification needed, the motion before us is, are we going to end debate and then vote on the proposal? Everyone clear on that? This is essentially, are we going to end debate? Roll call, Clerk Doyle on the motion to call the question.
McGinnis,
No.
Nicholson,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Rutherford,
Yes.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
No.
James.
No.
4 yeas, 3 nays.
Is that enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A majority vote having been registered, the motion to call the question passes, meaning debate is ended, and now we as a city council are going to be voting. This is a resolution to approve road and road facilities bond proposal for the February 27th, 2024 presidential primary ballot. No need to pass it out at this point. So this is what the proposal would be. Shall the city of Pontiac, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, borrow the principal sum of not to exceed $114,500,000 and issue its unlimited tax general obligation bonds in one or more series to pay the cost of acquiring, constructing, furnishing, and equipping street, transportation, and related facility capital improvement projects within the city, consisting generally of A, the acquisition, construction, and improvement of a public works facility, including all mechanical, electrical, technology, and security systems, site, utility, fixtures, furniture, and parking improvements, and all related appurtenances and attachments thereto, and B, the acquisition, construction, and improvement of local and major streets, including paving, repaving, reconstructing, and improving streets, the necessary rights-of-way, sidewalks, proper drainage facilities, and all necessary appurtenances and attachments thereto. The bonds will be payable from the taxes the city is allowed to levy in addition to state statutory and city charter limits. The box to the voters would be yes or no. If approved, the estimated millage to be levied in 2024 is 4.000 mils, which is $4 per $1,000 of taxable value, and the estimated simple average annual millage rate required to retire the bonds is 4.000 mils, $4 per $1,000 of taxable value. Each series of the bonds shall be payable in not more than 30 years from its date of issuance. So what the resolution would say, if it is passed by the city council, that will go to the voters on February 27th. If this resolution fails, then it dies here and it will not be on the ballot in February. So, is everyone clear on the resolution before us? Hearing no further requests for clarification, on the resolution to approve road and road facilities bond proposal for the February 27th, 2024 presidential primary ballot, roll call, Clerk Doyle.
James.
No.
McGinnis.
No.
Nicholson.
No.
Parker.
Yes, let the people decide.
Rutherford.
No.
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 All right, good time. Order in the chambers, thank you for everyone for being here this evening, but that was 6-1,
Yeah,
correct?
one yay, one yes, and 6 nays.
Okay, so that motion fails, the resolution did not pass. We are on item number 2, resolution to approve Proposal 1, ordinance number 2424, and ordinance to amend ordinance number 2406, City of Pontiac Adult Use Business Ordinance for the February 27th, 2024 presidential primary ballot. So this was an item that had been tabled from the Tuesday evening meeting. Clerk Doyle, it does not need a new second, motion or second.
Actually, you only postponed it to this meeting, so you didn't really do a motion in support to approve it.
Okay, so just to make it neat and tidy, is there a motion to
So moved.
approve the resolution? It's been moved by Councilman Nicholson, seconded by Councilman Goodman, so the debate is before us. This is a provision in our city charter stating that if the city council adopts something, the people can collect signatures and say as a referendum, hold it, and we want to vote on it. So that's what's happened before. We adopted an updated ordinance when it comes to adult use marijuana businesses this fall. And when we did that, an individual began collecting signatures. It stopped the implementation of that amended, updated ordinance. And now enough signatures were gathered, so the question will be put to the voters of Pontiac. So mainly this is a formality. We're just saying, yes, it complies with what's required, and this is the election it's going to. The next regularly scheduled election, which, thank goodness, we the taxpayers don't have to pick up the bulk of the tab for, is February 27th. So just want to give that context. This is not something that originated with the city council. We did not say, hey, stop, and let's have a referendum. That was done by a section of the people of Pontiac by petitions that were circulated. Mayor and Deputy Mayor, any further context, or did that sort of set the scene adequately?
I think that summarizes it perfectly.
Okay. The ordinance that was adopted in the spring, where there was this similar attempt, then they ultimately pulled off the ballot, that still stands. That ordinance is in effect. So adult use recreational marijuana businesses, that is already on the books, so to speak, with the city of Pontiac. This is a referendum on the updates that we adopted in the fall. Mayor and Deputy Mayor, is that an adequate, summary? Okay.
That's right. It's just a referendum on the amendments that were made this fall, not on the original ordinance that was approved by council in the spring.
So no matter the outcome in February on this particular proposal, that April ordinances that we adopted are still in place. But those updates and changes that we made in the fall, that's what's being held and being contested, the amended ordinance. All right, Councilwoman James?
So is the clerk's office presently implementing the recreational marijuana ordinance?
Clerk Doyle, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. No. And the reason being is that it was a court challenge. The committee, you made the updates. So we're waiting to see what happens in February. Will we be moving forward with ordinance 2406 that was approved in April? Or will we be moving forward with the amendments to 2406, which is ordinance 2424?
So still paralysis.
Yes.
But it isn't contesting the original enacted ordinance. It's whether the changes will fly or not.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So again, Clerk Doyle, your office did very hard work verifying and validating all the signatures to make sure they reached the what's spelled out in state law. And so any update you want to give us on that?
Actually is, thank you, Mr. President, it's actually the city charter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the city charter, it spells out how many signatures they need to get, the percentage, et cetera, and that was satisfied. So it meets all the requirements, and this is the final step of us just sort of confirming, yes, this is the election to send it to. Okay? Any further discussion or clarification needed? Pro Tem Carrington.
Yes, thank you, President McGinnis. Just so for the public, as we decide whether this actually goes to the ballot. So basically, this is only challenging the amendment that we made to the marijuana ordinance, right?
Correct.
So I just wanted to make sure the community knows that that they're not voting to get rid of the recreational marijuana ordinance.
That's right. This will not be an up or down verdict on whether there can be adult use recreational marijuana or not. It's basically what version will be allowed. And there will be a lot of, we'll put out as much information as we're allowed and permitted about sort of what it means, what's the practical application, so that way residents can be informed. Clerk Doyle?
And the proposal, as it will go on the ballot, says, Proposal 1, ordinance number 2424, and ordinance to amend ordinance number 2406, the City of Pontiac Adult Use Business Ordinance. So it is just on the amendments.
Yeah.
So if you're in favor of the amendments, it would be a yes vote. If you're not, then it would be a no vote.
And for the sake of time, I won't read it all because it is about 3 pages, but Proposal 1, it spells out what all those changes were that were adopted in the fall. And so you can review that when you receive your ballots. It's going to spell it all out too. So you get to say, are these changes good or not? And we can share for the community's benefit, they were done to try and add even more protections for residents, to try and clarify the process even further. But it ultimately will be the people's decision. Councilwoman James.
I was just wondering, this whole thing is going to be on the ballot? Yes. All 3 pages? Yes. Okay.
I'm sorry, through the president.
Yes, sir, you have the
The actual ordinance, because it encompasses the 2406, is probably about 40 pages. But the clerk's office, and it says, and it will say on the, if you want to see the full ordinance, it'll be available in the clerk's office. But for ballot printing, no, but what is in here, that will be what will be on the ballot.
Okay.
Yes.
And we recognize that's not the simplest and
That's a lot.
most fun thing for voters and residents, but we ain't the ones that wrote the ballot proposal, so. All right, so any further clarification needed? Again, the city charter spells out, the city council has to say what can go on the ballot for proposals or not. Hearing no further discussion, roll call, Clerk Doyle on the motion to approve the resolution to approve Proposal 1, ordinance number 2424, and ordinance to amend ordinance number 2406, City of Pontiac Adult Use Business Ordinance for the February 27th, 2024 presidential primary ballot. Clerk Doyle.
Nicholson.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Yes. That motion carries. The resolution is adopted. And with that, that ballot proposal will be on the City of Pontiac's voters' ballots on the February 27th, 2024 presidential primary. So when you choose which ballot you want, no matter what presidential primary you're voting in, it's going to be at probably the bottom. It would be at the bottom of it.
And voters
Clerk
will,
Doyle.
through the president, and voters will also have the option to just request a proposal
Okay.
ballot.
So you don't have to vote in either presidential
Right,
primary.
yes, yeah.
Understood. All right, so with that, there is only one ballot proposal that the city of Pontiac is submitting forward. So I don't believe we'll need to adopt this next resolution unless attorneys and clerk tells me otherwise. It would spell out how the ballot questions shall appear on the February 27th, 2024 presidential primary ballot, including the order. Attorney Trebilcock, is that still necessary?
It's not necessary given the current status at this point. The only way that would become necessary is if somehow you decided to call another special meeting prior to Tuesday at 4 o'clock, which I don't think is happening, but that would be you just need to designate it then. Thanks.
Okay, so without objection, I won't entertain a motion or a second for this resolution. Well, I'll give the opportunity. Is there a motion or a second for this item number 3? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Hearing none, there's no such move in support. That concludes the resolutions on our agenda, and we are now at public comment. Because this is a special meeting, we're not doing the full-blown whole order. We won't have closing comments, et cetera. I might allow a point of personal privilege if there's a quick answer we can give to a question that's raised. But it's now time for public comment. Pro Tem, who's up?
Kermit Williams. Dr. Waterman. I'm sorry. Patrice Waterman. No, I'm sorry. Okay, the other. Yeah. Mr. Robert Bass. Please forgive me, Dr. Waterman. You coming up? Yes.
Microphone, sir.
Robert Bass, Citizen District Council. I thank you for the vote. I know it's not a long-lasting vote because it may come back for a later date, which is doable, and we appreciate it. Bottom line is, we want to have information. Yes, we know that we have a choice. However, we need information in order to make an educated voice spoken. If we don't know what we're voting for, we're just voting blind. I don't care if it's just something that you're putting on the ballot. There still should be a preliminary plan. We don't have that. So as a community leader, I can't explain to my people what they don't understand about the ballot proposal because I don't even have a preliminary proposal or a preliminary plan of action. Y'all have had 2 years to come up with a street plan. The first plan, you said there was no plan when you made a plan. And then you went and changed the plan that you made for that because of the way the money came in from the government. I understand that. I understand you have to make changes and do things different. But we cannot make educated decisions and not have knowledge of what we're voting on or speaking to. And that's what y'all are telling us to do when you say that we don't need the information because the council have it. Because the council have it, we all, from all over the district, don't get the information in a timely manner. And it's not because the council's not doing their job, it's because they don't have the time to get to every avenue that's in a collective body or district or a district. So all I'm saying, I put this to the administration. How many community people do you have on those groups that you have working on the master plan, the parks? How many community people do you have sitting on with your departments working on these plans? And the same way with council. How many of your people are on these committees, or what committees are they on in the administration? They speak for us to give an alternate view of what they're planning or the policies they're making. But we come to public hearings and speak on something that we have no information on. Sometimes it's quick. Sometimes it's right after you plan town hall. You go to the town hall, you come back, and you vote on what they said at the town hall. But we don't have the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bass. Randy Kroll?
I live in Fieldstone Village, and one of the things that, first of all, Council, I applaud you for your vote tonight. I think you heard the people that were here that they weren't in favor of that bond proposal. And I think we have the same concerns that you do as far as not having the information. And furthermore, I question now the information that is being handed out because Telegraph Road has been repaired. That was shut down in different directions, and that has all been completely fixed. Why is that part of the bond, the road, fixing the roads? Because that's done. So I question the validity of the information that we're getting, and very little. So before the council votes on another proposal, I would ask that you guys get all the information that you can as far as what's going to be done, the time frame, and I really agree with you that should be a lesser amount, because when you come to the people in Pontiac, I would say the majority of the people in Pontiac can't afford a 4% or 4 millage vote. And so you need to take a look at their districts and what your districts are saying. So, and the other thing is get this information and then share it with your people, whether you share it here or in your individual precincts. Let us know what you want, because I think you'll get a lot more support from your people if you give them information. Because I'll tell you, when I walked in here today, Irene called me, and whenever she had talked to me and told me what was going on, how in the world can that happen? I mean, this is a democracy. It's not a dictatorship. And if you want something, you got to ask for it, but you got to tell us what you want. Don't just come and say, we want a 4 millage, percent vote, increase in your taxes. That's not going to get it. What do you want it for? What's it going to do? How much is it going to cost? And what's it going to fix? Because I'll tell you one thing right now, I have been in contact with the mayor's office and the city about a road that has not been touched. Not been touched. I've been in Fieldstone Village for 5 years, and I know that my neighbors of that have told me the same thing. It's been months or years before. But Giddings Road, when you come into Pontiac, because Auburn Hills has done their part. But as soon as you hit that line, you're in Pontiac. And the bridge by the creek over there it's really terrible. The city has come out and repaired it just to get by, but it's nowhere near where it should be.
That does conclude your time.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you
Mr.
very
Kroll.
much.
Carlton Jones?
All right. I said about the process, and I want to start there. Well, let me hit a couple of items first. I think Councilwoman Jane spoke about a study that was approved. Evidently, that study has not been disseminated between you guys. We haven't seen any parts of that study. I agree, if it was a study put together, we should be able to see that study and know that study. So when we do things like this, there's a process that needs to go through. We okay a study, come on back, let's see what that study say. The second thing that's disturbing is nothing in this piece talked about that facility. We had to ask tonight how much that facility gonna cost. It's like, come on, administration, tell us what it's gonna cost. That means that's $10 million worth of less roads we're not gonna be able to do, because we put that facility in there. But I think that number, I looked over, I didn't see that $10 million number in there. So these things need to be spoke of in a way that we understand what is the actual cost and what are we trying to propose. I agree we need to do something with our streets. That's been going on a long time. Our streets been bad a long time. So just to rush and say we got to hit it right now, that doesn't make sense to a lot of us. So we got to come around with that. Now here's the process that I think I keep seeing going on. This right here is going to go to council leadership. Council, I know you don't like to say no, but sometimes you waste a lot of our time trying to do something on the floor. That shouldn't happen. I'm glad to see they stopped it tonight. You should not, because if our council people do not get a chance to see information and come back to us, you have voided the process of having us as citizens talk to our elected officials. When they get information, and I'm talking about council president, you cannot go through and try to dissect information on the floor. Council people haven't got a chance to see it. They haven't got a chance to talk to their constituents. That's not the way it's supposed to go. So as much as you want to try to keep peace and order, I believe in that. But let's do everything in an orderly way. Let's do it all in an orderly way. That's out of order. Trying to do something on the floor and change it to get it voted on that night without council people getting a chance to come back to their constituents and say, here's what we're thinking about doing, then we can collectively vote on things. That's not the way we should be doing things around here. And we need to stop doing it that way. It's not the council people's decision on their own. They are representing us as citizens. So you should always say, have you got a chance to go back and talk to your citizens in your district? And if we're not doing that, we're going to continuously have problems in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Linda Watson.
I thank the council for voting no. Thank you for that. But let me throw some things out there. I guess you sort of know that I'm not for tax abatements. Why? Because the rest of us has to take up the slack for that. How many tax abatements have you given out? They're 30 years. I left in 2005. In 95, we did a reappraisal, and downtown has never been up to the value that it's supposed to be. What about all those tax dollars we could be getting if you did something like that? To look at those tax abatements. Downtown was obsolete. You also have your TIFAs down there. Money goes back into those areas, so they shouldn't even be included in the roads. I know it's supposed to be infrastructures, okay? But another thing that could be done is that for those of us who want our streets done now, as opposed to waiting to get into the plan, you could do special assessments to the property. I would prefer a special assessment to my property for my road in front of me, as opposed to 30 years of higher taxes. You have other options, which I don't think they've been viewed. And I'm trying to get my child to come back to Pontiac, one of them anyway. He says there's nothing to offer. Since 70, you've been working on that downtown area. You pushed not you, they pushed all the young business owners out and put in entertainment. Has that worked in 40 years? You need to change your idea. You need more family things down there. And I've been to other cities that are like ours, and they've got small businesses there, not all entertainment. Nobody goes downtown. Outsiders come in on the weekends. The other thing, if you gave a tax abatement, charge that part of the road back to the business. You got other options. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. Dr. Waterman? Chuck Johnson, next.
Well, Council, you've had an earful tonight, but the sum total is I'm glad you weren't bullied into making a decision on the basis of improperly prepared information and that were not maybe decided in the best interest of the people. So thank you for that. And that's just, we've seen it done before, previous times. And so tonight, I think you held your ground and said, hey, look, we're not going to do something that is not well thought out and that there isn't a plan that you can explain to the people. Just the arguments that were disseminated as rebuttal, if I heard from the front table, I mean, it's not that we know our streets are bad. We drive them all the time. So you don't have to tell us the streets are bad. We know. But the question is, what is the plan for getting it done? What is the long-range capital improvement? And it's not done by knee-jerk reactions and just, okay, we're going to change this, we're going to do this, and come up with the numbers at the top of your head. It's by having a plan. That's what administration should be working out, and they did you wrong by not getting that plan worked out and thought out and presented in a better way than it was tonight. I see the gentlemen who were here, the consultants from Miller, Canfield, and Baird. We're going to try to help to bail you out. They knew there were other options. There were other options, and they were going to present them tonight. But, you know, that's not the way you should decide something of this importance. Just have people come up with things at the last minute and tell you piecemeal about it. They're willing to do that. That's what they did for the school district, and that's what they've done at other times. You know, I hired them to give us a credit rating. But they hadn't been asked to do it, and so they weren't prepared. That's what they can do for you for the next time so we can see what is the best option. There are alternatives. There's different ways to do things. I also heard one of the council people said, we just want to put it on the ballot. I think Deputy Stevens, we just want to put it on it's the people's choice. But the thing is, if you put it on the ballot, that means you are recommending it. I assume you wouldn't put something on the ballot that you don't recommend. So it means that you would have been recommending this plan, because that's what would be put on the ballot. So don't try to pass the buck by saying, oh, it's the people's choice anyway. Yeah, the people's choice, we know it's our choice. But the question is if you would be recommending this plan. So there are other alternatives, other ways of doing it. There has not been that discussion. That needs to be done. We need to get the roads fixed, that's right. But going through a knee-jerk reaction and just deciding on the basis of limited information and false information, some of it, is not the way that you owe the people and respect the people in terms of making their community improved.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Waterman. Mr. Chuck Johnson. Larry Jasper on deck.
Thank you very much, Chuck Johnson again. You know, kudos to the council for your vote tonight. And I also want to say kudos to you, Reverend Councilman Parker, because without your input, along with the council's input, then we wouldn't have had a collaboration of thoughts. And that's very important. Even though you were outside of the group, you didn't say yes like you should. But anyways, our roads is not going to get any better over the next 5 or 6 years or 10 years until Oakland County comes and finish buying the city of Pontiac like they're doing. Oakland County is buying this city the way they wanted to do 25 years ago, but now it's come to fruition. If Oakland County wants to buy this city, let them fix the roads, because they have way more money than us few taxpayers here in the city of Pontiac. Let them bring some of that North Oakland County money that they're getting and spend it in Pontiac like they should have been doing years ago. As far as Telegraph Road is concerned, Telegraph Road, the part that's on that document, is in the purview of Oakland County because now Oakland County controls Hawthorne Park, and they ain't gonna let that road go in a deplorable condition with their name on that park. Trust me. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks all of you for coming out. I agree with you wholeheartedly. We have to stand fast. We have to stand up and be counted. We can't continue sitting back and allow, with respect to the administration, individuals just bringing these ideas and plans to this city, and they never come to fruition. It's always a money grab, and it's coming out of the pockets of us, and it's too late for that kind of game. I'm gonna give it another name. It's a cat and mouse game. If you want to play the cat and mouse game, then we're not gonna be the mouse, because the cat's not gonna get us. Thank you.
Well, I want to say that I'm really grateful the council took a serious look at this and realized it was just too fast, too soon. You don't get married in one day, even at first sight. It takes a year. And I think that there was a lot of discussion up front here at the council and various ideas, but I wouldn't throw it away. What I would tell you is that November 2024 is soon enough, and it would start next year. There is multiple such scenarios. I don't think you guys remember, a lot of people think, well, you don't live in Pontiac. Well, I want to make one thing clear here. In 2008, there was a development called Bloomfield Park. It's now called Bloomfield Village. That was initiated. It was shut down, not because the guy ran out of money. It was a $20 billion operation that had 9 PUDs going on simultaneously. It was shut down because somebody in the political field decided to do a traffic count and said that the streets need to be widened by 4 feet, which meant they had to tear down $200 million to start over. And they refused to do it. They decided to take a write-off. I was brought into the project around 2012, 2014. I went to New York, and I had 3 investors willing to put $500 million into the city of Pontiac. Unfortunately, I didn't know who was there at the time, and they had been working with Oakland County and Redico. Redico, which owns Bloomfield Park, it's called American Housing. They got all these condos, they got this tax abatement, but understand that Bloomfield Township owned Telegraph Road. The reason they gave it to Pontiac is so they get rid of the legal documents. I got a call in New York telling me that I couldn't go through it with a FOIA until they took out the legal documents. And I said, that's pretty sad because I got investors looking at $500 million. You're going to have to get a court order. That's when I found those documents. When they gave Telegraph to Pontiac, the ex-mayor gave a 35-year tax abatement. That's $2 million a year the city of Pontiac should have been getting since, 2016? How many roads were that fixed? The point is I brought to this council before you guys came here a partnership where we could see dividends going to the citizens. The citizens can't afford and stock ownership for the downtown development. This still can be happening. We can still bring Oakland County and Bloomfield Township and Pontiac together and cut in the citizens for 10% ownership, which would give them a couple $100 every quarter. If you're on your Social Security, you can't afford your electric bill, your water bill, food, or Medicare, let alone another $200 to $500. But we can work on this. We can put it all together. And I guarantee you it could work where the citizens wouldn't have to make the money come out of their pockets. It would be a combination that would benefit all of Oakland County. It would benefit Bloomfield Hills and Pontiac simultaneously. I've been trying to get this in front of you, and that's why I filed this lawsuit, because all this stuff, they've attacked me for 2 years. That's why you haven't seen me. They attacked my family in a major situation, but I'm back. Thank you for taking care of the citizens.
Ms. Darlene Clark and then Ms. Gloria Miller.
Good afternoon, Council and Mayor Administration. I'm going to take my first minute and explain to you. I passed out to you a package of a situation that occurred on recording versus council meeting on the 21st. At the end of that meeting, we have a confrontation between Chuck Johnson, Cassandra Bradford, and Melody Rufford. Now, after the confrontation, there was some serious accusations and innuendos made by Chuck Johnson that was very inappropriate. Understand this, I do have it fully on recording. So if you council people want to hear what was said, because it was very deplorable for a council person to let a person even address a situation like that. Melody Rufford then on the 27th filed a police report to say that she put a PP order against Gloria Miller, Darlene Clark, and Cassandra Bradford. I, in turn, my office checked with the clerk at the Oakland County, and there is no PP order. In front of you have a copy of that. So Melody Rufford once again has misled the council into thinking something that does not exist to protect her own narcissism. And I have been very frank and upfront with her. She is a narcissist. Now, back to this, and this is directly to the mayor. And the council, please hear what I'm telling this mayor and the people as well. Mayor, it's not that the people don't want to trust you. Actually, you were their great hope coming into office. The people thought for the change that the former mayor, the things that she done, had actually took the city down. They were relying on you, your hope, on you to help bring it up. But what happened in your mistake that you did, you came here and you know how you say when you run amok, which means when you run too fast, you tend to miss a lot of things going by because you're running so fast. See, the road runner didn't run the race. The tourists won the race. Mayor, you said that you fixed some streets. You pat yourself on the back, and you did, but you didn't fix the whole street. Yes, you did fix Pike Street, a section. That's not the whole street, so we still have the problem. Yes, you are fixing Franklin Road, Bagley, and all these streets that was before us. But what the problem is, you're doing it all at the same time where you're congesting and pushing everybody into a huddle. Trucks are driving into the residential neighborhood and on our properties getting lost because they don't know how to get out. The science that's there is not enough. So it's not your intention. You're running so fast across the race that you're trying to win that you're missing over so much. You also said that you promised to help the people get the GERS 2 years ago to get these people their retirement money. Mayor, these people work hard for this money. My mother died not getting her insurance and her money. But guess what, Mayor? She had a family that helped her stay atop. But look at the ones who don't. The promises that you made to the people, you halfway done it. You started it, but you didn't finish it. Mayor, you have a council that constantly say yes, yes. You want us to trust you? Let me tell you this. People like my family, there's other families that help make Pontiac. We are the power. Because when we pick up that phone and say, help, they there. And what we're saying to you as residents in Pontiac, taxpayers, you have to rely on us to give you what you want. But we don't trust you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Ms. Gloria Miller.
Thank you, Darlene. You know, I was out in the hall talking to some of my citizens in Pontiac, and this older gentleman walked up to me. You know, I don't know people, but I know them. You know what I'm saying? We just know each other. I could be out in another city, and they'll walk up to me, how you doing? I breathe, and we was talking in the hall, and I was telling them how I breathe Pontiac. I love Pontiac. Even if some of them don't love me, I still love them. That's on them. They got to answer to God for themselves. Because believe it or not, I am a godly person. Because if I wasn't, I probably would have beat up a lot of people up in here if I was like I used to be. The things that go on in here. And I say this, I will fight tooth and nail when I see a senior in this city being done wrong. Because there's things that God has given me the gift to do. That know when you're doing wrong, I can't take it back to my people and live next door to them and knowing that you're cutting it back. I gotta die for this. So on my grave, where probably you won't be there, that's okay, I don't need you. I want to say, let my work speak for itself. I never took a dime from anyone. I never did any backdoor deals. I don't do anything for money. I'm not getting paid to come down here. I use everything on my own because I do it from my heart, because I love my people. We've been through a lot. We have been through 3 emergency managers. They treated us like dirt. We had I never thought I'd live slavery. It was slavery. The emergency manager would tell you to walk away, get away from me. You had no rights. We were suspended. And so where my passion come from, I still got it. I want to organize people in Pontiac. We got to organize. This body don't listen to us. They're trying to take us down. I walked in City Hall today. Come down, Pontiac. Look at the rug on the floor. It got that mess on it. No chief on it anymore. It got Oakland County on the floor. Okay? They're trying to take us. They're trying to take us. Come on, Pontiac. We got to organize. Yes, Parker, you just showed that you don't know a damn thing about Pontiac. That's what you just showed. I know my District 5. Yes, you got your nice neighborhoods over there. I love them. I know a lot of them. But I don't believe that they want to take the little people down to make it for the big people. The little people can't sustain it. They don't have the wherewithal to pay these taxes. So what's going to happen to them? They're going to lose their homes that they worked for all their lives, sitting on their little porch trying to just make a little dollar. That's what bothers me with this council. You guys don't recognize your people that you're working for up there. I grew up in your neighborhood, McGinnis. I grew up on the east side of town. They can't afford it. You did the right thing. I don't want to congratulate you no more because next week you probably do something different again. So I'm just going to hold reserve, okay? Because I'm a woman like this. You do something for me good, that ain't going to buy me. You don't buy me easily. I don't come cheap. So, sorry, I'm not going to congratulate you. You're just doing your job. Stay with your people. You'll stay with me. I won't even come down here. But when you lead the people, I'm here.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Ms. Irene Wright.
Hi, just a few closing comments. I think I said the last time I was here, what God has given you, much is expected, and tonight you've shown that. First of all, Mayor, I want you to know that it is not a negative vote on your part from us. We have to stand our ground. We are individuals who have been here for a long time. One of the things that I've seen, and I said this to Councilman James, I don't expect to come down here because I want to make sure you guys have enough opportunity to do your job. I said that at least 2 years, but today I had to come down. I had to come down even though I had been sick in the hospital and everything else because it was not right. Mayor, I think you need to understand that Pontiac has been in existence for a long time. It is not our job to tell you how to do your job. But one of the things that I would like to say to you is to consider putting together what's called a think tank. A think tank is not what you are saying you want, but listening to the people because it's a lot of us that has your back. Now, some people will say, why are you saying that? Because I have your back. But when you do things that's not in what I think is correct, I'm going to tell you that. Not because I don't like you, not because I do like you. It's because it's the right thing that I can do. And when you surround yourself with good people, make sure you are surrounding yourself with people who are going to give you the best advice. Because if you're surrounding
Order in the
yourself
chambers. Order in the chambers. The citizen has the floor, and only the citizen. Miss Irene Wright's beautiful voice will be the only voice we're hearing during her time.
with people who are just telling you what you want to hear, a strong leader surrounds himself with very qualified people, even more qualified than themselves. And so to the council, I'll say to you, you know, what you did today really said you listened to us. You know, you may not always, or in this time, agree with it, because I know we have to do something. We have to do something for our roads. But sometimes you're taking on too much. And I think this was one of those times when it was just too much. Give us an opportunity to work with you. But again, think about looking at a lot of people in this and getting a think tank. Not that you're telling them what to do, but they're coming back telling you that this is what we talked to the people and this is what they said. There's no way anything should have been done without, first of all, listening to the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. That concludes public comment.
All right. All right, with that, that concludes the items on our agenda. Deputy Mayor Stevens, you wanted a quick word?
Thank you, Council President. I just want to thank the council for the special meeting tonight, thank the public, and I want to let everyone know, so everyone who's in the chambers, this is not for the people watching, everyone who's in the chambers, please do not use the elevator tonight. It is having a technical difficulty, and although the door is open, do not use the elevator tonight. Thank you.
We all on one accord with that? We're going to earn a few more steps. We're taking only the stairs tonight. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilman Nicholson, seconded by Pro Tem Carrington, that we adjourn this evening's special meeting. Hearing no discussion, roll call, Clerk Doyle.
Carrington,
Yes.
Goodman,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Nicholson,
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
6 yeas, no nays.
At 8:28 p.m., we do stand adjourned. Thank you to council members for making this time. This was an added obligation upon your already busy week.